Hi everyone, I'm Colleen, and this stream is brought to you by the awesome people over at Princess Dental Staffing. So happy everyone could be here with me today on this Wednesday. Hope it's nice and warm where you are. So today's topic is dental assistant to office manager, what you should know and have. So if you're a dental assistant and you just got promoted to office manager, congratulations. If you are a dental assistant currently looking to become and promote into an office manager role, great. So glad for you. Great that you've made the decision to progress in your dental career. But there are some things that you should know and some skills that you should be focusing on developing. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you today and talking about. If you're a dental assistant and moving to an office manager position, or you have moved into that office manager position, we're going to be giving you some insight on, some of the things, some of the skills that you should develop, and some of the things that you should know now that you're in a leadership role. But before we get into that, just want to remind everyone that Princess Dental Staffing is an online dental job board. They have positions available for front office personnel and front office managers, dental assistants, dental hygienists, and dentists in a variety of different areas. They offer full-time, part-time, permanent, and temporary roles. So be sure to visit princessdentalstaffing.com today and see what they have available in your area. You can also check out their blog while you are on princessdentalstaffing.com. Covers a lot of the topics that we cover here in these live streams, which we bring to you every Wednesday, by the way. You can also create a profile and get your information in front of potential hiring managers and decision makers as well. So a lot that you can do on their website, princessdentalstaffing.com. Additionally, if you don't want to miss out on any of our future streams, be sure to subscribe to our page or subscribe to our channel and follow our page. So yeah, be sure to do that. And of course, if you have any questions, thoughts, insights on any of the topics that we are discussing, be sure to comment them below and we will address them while the stream is live. But if we can't get to them while the stream is live, we'll be sure to follow back up with you as soon as possible. Okay. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. Okay, dental assistant to office manager, what you need to know. So tip number one, prepare to be open to what you don't know. So just like with any new position or any new promotion, there are definitely going to be things that you don't know right off the bat and skills that you need to develop. Now, the positive side of things, the kind of silver lining is that you've been a dental assistant. So if you're promoting within your own practice, you already know how the practice and how the office is run. If you're promoting and going to a different office, that's okay too. You still have a really strong grasp of how operations usually function in most dental practices and offices from a dental assistant perspective. So that information and that knowledge is really key to helping facilitate office operations, okay? But of course, in being an office manager, there's a lot more to it than being a dental assistant, right? You're going to have questions, and that is totally fine. You are going to have questions. You're going to run into situations that you're not quite sure how to handle, and that's totally fine. And, it's also important to know that even the best training program in the world cannot prepare you for every single situation that you're going to find yourself in. That is okay. What do we do when we find ourselves in these situations? Well, first, you want to make sure to check company policy or office policy, okay? And see if any of those policies or, standard operating procedures can give you any insight or help in how to handle specific situations, okay? Now, if your policy doesn't cover your specific situation, that's fine. You can also ask other office managers. So hopefully you're building your network and your dental network, right? And you've got other colleagues and coworkers that you can ask, whether they're part of your practice or not, hopefully that you can go to them and ask. Now, if you don't have anyone you can ask, you don't have a policy or a procedure that really covers your situation, don't shy away from Googling, right? That's what Google is there for, to get us some answers. Make sure, of course, that it is a reputable website, maybe the American Dental Association's website, 88.org. You can also find a lot of dental communities on social media as well: Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, LinkedIn, and so many more. So, if and when you become an office manager, well, really as a dental assistant, this is probably a good idea as well. Get on your socials and find some communities in your social media that allows you to connect with and network with other dental professionals. Okay, so be sure to check that out. And by the way, Princess Dental Staffing is on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we're also on LinkedIn as well. Okay, so be sure to check those out, and then you can post questions as well. Excuse me. You can also post questions to your dental associates and see if they have any answers. Just make sure that when you're posting these questions, you're protecting your employees' information. Don't give out their names or anything like that. Okay, so protect their information. Just kind of pose it as like you would a hypothetical. Okay. Okay. So let's also talk about managing people, right? So if you're going from a dental assistant to an office manager position, then leadership might be a little bit new to you, right? So again, be prepared to be open to what it is that you don't know. So if your leadership skills are not as strong as you would like, be sure to, focus on developing those skills and how you manage people, because that's probably going to be one of the hardest skills to develop if you don't have those leadership skills already in place. Okay. Not only that, but managing people and managing teams can also be a little bit difficult, because there's really no one way to manage people. I mean, there are definitely best practices, and there are good and better ways to handle certain situations and wrong ways to handle situations. But a lot of it is going to depend very heavily on your particular leadership style. So again, feel free to reach out to other office managers to see how they will handle situations. Take a look at company policies. Be sure to reach out to your social media communities. And that is going to at least give you some direction and some ideas of, good ways to handle situations and better ways to handle situations, right? Okay. But again, it's also important to make sure that you keep your employees' information anonymous. Don't use names. Just say, this dental assistant or that dental hygienist or what have you. Okay. All right. Tip number 2, get used to a lot of paperwork and insurance questions. Okay. So, if you've ever worked front office before, or even as a dental assistant before with a dental practice, then there's a lot of paperwork that goes into running a dental practice. A lot of forms, a lot of records, a lot of things that need to be organized. Okay. And a lot of it, not all of it, mind you, but some of it's going to be paper, some of it is going to be digital, and you've got to kind of get used to all of that paperwork, forms, online forms and that kind of thing. Okay. You may even be responsible for conducting payroll and conducting hiring practices as well, which can be very time consuming. But all of that kind of encompasses paperwork. So it's really important to be able to balance your time wisely, because once you get into the paperwork spiral, it's kind of hard to get out. So make sure that you're balancing your time wisely, seeing if you can't automate as much as possible. Okay. And again, you're also going to have to answer questions about insurance. And these are some of the hardest conversations to have with patients, right? Just because insurance, in and of itself is just a little bit confusing, and a lot of patients don't necessarily understand how insurance companies work or what is covered and why. So some of the conversations you might have are, insurance may not cover what the patient would like. Insurance might not cover what the patient needs. You might have to explain how insurance companies work, and you're going to have to be able to explain that in a way that the patient can understand, using layman's terms and uncomplicated verbiage. Okay. You may you will have to be sure that the insurance, what they do cover and what they don't cover, and alert the patient as needed, right? So you're going to have to be able to understand what the insurance covers and what it doesn't. You may even have to work with patients who are upset at the insurance company. Now, likely sometimes those patients will kind of take that frustration, that aggravation out on you because they're just not understanding, what is covered and why not, right? And even though you're not part of the insurance company and it's not your decision or your say so, and you really have no control over that, you may still have to deal with aggravated and frustrated patients, right? And you may also have to deal with insurance companies directly as well. So there are a lot of difficult conversations that you may find yourself in if you're an office manager. So you'll want to be prepared for that and have strategies to ensure that you navigate those conversations patiently and with as much knowledge and information as possible in order to relay that information and that data. Okay. So, and again, with those conversations, you may deal with, patients who are very agitated, upset, and very frustrated, right? So it's important to remember that you are the office manager. It's part of the position to handle these sorts of situations and to work with these patients. So you're going to want to keep the situation calm. You're going to want to employ a little bit of conflict management and operate within the policies of your office. Okay, make sure you're using active listening skills. Make sure you are employing those empathy in order to relate to the patient and be able to respond accordingly, and again, mitigate that conflict as well. Okay. Number 3, invest in your team. So again, we're coming back to the leadership part of being an office manager, right? At the end of the day, you're a manager, so you have to manage your team, okay? So one of the things that you're going to want to do as an office manager is be sure to lead your team towards success. And we'll talk in a minute about what success is and what that means and how we define that. But you're going to want to be able to lead your team towards successful outcomes and positive results, right? So one of the ways you can do that is to pass on information and knowledge to your team members in order to help them continue to professionally develop within the dental industry. So for example, online resources, training programs, lectures, new technology, and anything else that's really going to align with professional development goals for your team, okay? It also may mean building your leadership team wisely. So if if you have lead dental assistants or lead dental hygienists, you're going to want to help develop their leadership skills as well, because that's part of their job, right, is to be a team lead, not a manager so much, but a team leader. So you're going to want to rely on them to be able to lead the team in alignment with established goals and policies, okay? And that means if you are deciding to promote someone, or you're deciding to hire someone in one of those team lead roles, don't take it lightly. It's definitely something, it's definitely a tough decision. So you're going to want to make sure that you are thorough in the application process or in the promotion process, however you kind of choose to do it. And you want to make sure that that assistant or that dental assistant or that dental hygienist possesses the skills needed and necessary in order to be an effective leader, and then also help them to continue to develop those leadership skills. Okay. All right. Number 4, track your KPIs. So we kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier when we were talking about, how we define success and what exactly that means for a dental office. So the answer is KPI. So what is a KPI? A KPI is a key performance indicator. It's basically something, it's usually a metric or, a benchmark or a measurement that gives you information and data on how successful the practice is being run. and how lucrative it is, and essentially just generally how well it's being run. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So what do you do with KPIs essentially? So, KPIs, key performance indicators, what do you do with those? Well, basically you track the data for them. Okay. And what you can do when you track data for certain KPIs, you can see kind of where your office is excelling and where a little bit more help can be needed, like where you're kind of falling a little bit short of the benchmark, and how you can where you need to focus your efforts in order to build on that KPI, and subsequently the success of the office. Okay. So where do you find KPIs? So they usually vary from dental office to dental office and between practices. It's going to be a little bit different because it's going to depend a lot on, what the office deems to be successful, right? So it's going to vary quite a bit. But generally you can find them by, speaking to the dentist or the practice owner and determining what they consider to be KPIs. Okay. And then as the office manager, you get to choose which ones to kind of focus on, and which ones to kind of help strengthen and bolster. Okay. So, for example, some examples of KPIs can include number of new patients you receive on a weekly or a monthly basis, the number of cancellations you receive, the number of patient no-shows you receive, how frequently patients called before their appointments, and did that somehow align with the no-shows that you received that week. Frequency of each treatment, and are these treatments above or below the market average industry for those treatments? Because if there is a drastic difference, that could result in a misdiagnosis. But yeah, those are just kind of some examples of KPIs, key performance indicators. That information and that data, again, can help determine just how successful your office and your practice is running, and how well it's running. So what you want to do is, again, you want to speak with the owner of the practice or the dentist to determine kind of which KPIs to focus on, and where you want to spend a lot of your time helping strategize plans for the dental office in order to, like I said, raise or elevate those KPIs. Okay. And once you have enough data, you can find, like I said, you can determine which KPIs are not meeting the benchmarks, or, are being graded as like unsatisfactory. And you could potentially help strategize, like I said, ways that you can elevate those particular KPIs as well. Okay, to help, like I said, make your practice more successful, make more money, and enhance the overall morale of your team. Okay. Alrighty. So those are just some of the things that you need to know about, going from dental assistant to office manager, some of the skills you probably need to focus on, and ways that you can help develop those skills. So let's do a quick recap. Number one, prepare to be open to what you don't know. As with any new position or any new promotion, there may be some things that you don't know. So, be open to what you don't know, have some great research skills, and, take a look at company policies, ask other office managers, really work your socials and those communities within those socials. Okay. And, when in doubt, Google. Number two, get used to a lot of paperwork and insurance questions. In order to run effectively, dental offices and practices really have to have a lot of paperwork and a lot of information that needs to be stored efficiently and effectively, so that you can retrieve information when you need it. And again, be sure to be prepared for a lot of those insurance questions, because you may have to explain a lot of information to patients, and you're probably going to have to work a lot with insurance companies as well. And those conversations may get agitated, and there may be some conflict. So make sure that you are honing your conflict management skills and de-escalation skills. Number three, invest in your team. Major part of being an office manager is the manager part. You've got to be able to lead your team towards success in achieving those KPIs and also professionally developing them so that you can cultivate a knowledgeable and talented team. And lastly, number 4, track your KPIs, key performance indicators. That's the data and information that you're going to be looking at and analyzing to determine just how successful your practices is being run. Okay? All right, so those are our tips and tricks for being promoted from a dental assistant to an office manager and how to tackle some of those more difficult aspects of being an office manager and being in a leadership role. So again, if you have any thoughts, questions, insights, be sure to comment them below. But otherwise, thanks for being here with me today, everyone. We will be back next week on Wednesday with a new topic that discusses your career in the dental industry. But until then, be sure to visit princessdentalstaffing.com and take a look at some of the positions in your area, maybe create a profile and read up on their blog. In the meantime, have a great week. Have a great weekend. Continue to stay safe out there, and I will see you soon.